Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving into something uh, really complex. It's right at the intersection of global energy, international politics, and, well, economics. We're looking at a proposed U.S. bill. It's called the Sanctioning Russia Act of 2025. The interesting part is how it could really shake things up for a major player like India, and maybe, just maybe, even impact you directly. So our plan today, we'll unpack this bill, get a handle on India's role in all this, and then try to connect the dots, see how these things ripple outwards, affecting global trade, critical imports, things that hit close to home. Let's jump in. Okay, so this bill, the Sanctioning Russia Act of 2025, what is it fundamentally? It's a U.S. Senate thing, bipartisan support too. Over 80 co-sponsors I read. They're calling it an economic bunker buster aimed at Russia, the main weapon. A proposed 500% tariff. Just wow.
Yeah, 500%. It's almost hard to grasp.
On all U.S. imports from countries still buying Russian energy, so oil, gas, petrochemicals, even uranium is on that list.
Exactly. It's incredibly broad.
And this is where India comes right into the picture, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. India's position is, well, pivotal here. Since the Ukraine conflict started, they've become a huge market for discounted Russian crude oil.
Huge is right.
Yeah.
I saw a stat that Russia's share of India's oil imports went from, what, less than 1%?
Less than 1%, correct.
Yeah.
And now it's closer to 40% in their last fiscal year. Almost half.
That's a massive shift. And it's been good for India economically, right? Helping manage inflation, energy needs.
Definitely. It provided a real economic cushion, helped them weather some of the global energy price shocks. It was, a pragmatic move for them.
But this bill directly threatens that calculation.
Directly. A 500% tariff on Indian goods coming into the U.S. I mean, that's described as an unprecedented economic blow. You're talking a major hit to their export income.
Which would widen their trade deficit.
Yes, significantly. And think about the Indian refiners who've geared up to process this Russian crude. Major disruption there, too. It could easily spark more inflation inside India, put real pressure on the rupee. It turns their economic win into a very difficult geopolitical balancing act.
So how is India reacting, or how might they react? They tend to emphasize their own needs, don't they?
They do. India's consistent line is energy security and commercial deals. They look for the best price, essentially. And officially, they don't recognize unilateral sanctions from the U.S. or EU.
Right.
But the sheer scale of this proposed tariff, 500%, that's a different kind of pressure. It directly challenges their strategic autonomy, their ability to chart their own course.
Is there wiggle room? Or is it just a direct confrontation waiting to happen if this passes?
That's the critical question. And it brings us to the, let's call it collateral damage. This is where it might touch you, the listener.
Okay, how so?
Well, think about what India exports to the U.S. A huge category is generic pharmaceuticals. India is the largest supplier of generics to the American market.
Okay. I see where this is going.
Slap a 500% tariff on those drugs. You could see U.S. drug prices spike dramatically, potential shortages of really critical medicines.
Things people rely on every day.
Exactly, making them unaffordable. It creates what analysts call a politically and economically untenable situation.
Which might explain why there's a waiver provision.
Precisely. The bill apparently includes a potential one-time 180-day presidential waiver. It suggests even the bill's supporters see the potential for serious negative consequences domestically.
So it's not just about Russia and India.
Not at all. It really spotlights the complex global fallout from the Ukraine conflict. You have the West trying to isolate Russia economically, but then you have major economies like India and also China navigating their own national interests, their energy needs. It gets messy.
Yeah.
The outcome here, whether this specific bill passes or gets modified, could genuinely reshape global trade patterns and maybe even alliances.
So summarizing this, we've got India's energy strategy and, frankly, its independent foreign policy clashing head-on with a potentially very powerful U.S. legislative move.
It's a stark reminder of how interconnected everything is.
A real test case.
Yeah. And maybe the thought to leave everyone with is this: how tangled our global economies really are. A decision made in Washington, D.C. could directly influence the price of your prescription medication or energy costs globally. It makes you wonder, what does national interest even mean in a world where economic waves travel so far, so fast? How do you balance domestic priorities with these unavoidable global ripples?